Hello everyone, I hope you guys are doing well and your studies are going in full swing. So with just about 2.5 months remaining for your CA final and CA intermediate exams, these are the few things that you need to remember in the last few days to ensure that you are in that top 20% who actually clear. So every year, attempt after attempt, we see that among all the students who are giving the exam, approximately 80% of them fail, that too in a good attempt. So what is it that these 20% students are doing and what should you do so that you are in that 20%? So a very quick 6 important pointer that you need to remember before your exam so that you keep this into consideration in the last few days and you are going to clear in your exams. Okay, so the first of all is your revision is a little incomplete and scattered. So what happens is when you're doing your classes, almost you review the entire material, you kind of do stuff. However, when it comes to revision, you start off properly, you kind of take a little more time, so you get a little panicked, and then you kind of just do the important stuff, leave a few chapters, and it all goes in a very scattered way. So what I would tell you over here is ensure that when you're doing a particular subject, it might take a day or two more, that's acceptable, but ensure you complete it to the end. Don't think that you will come back and do this afresh in the later revisions, because that later keeps on getting pushed and the chapter is removed and those sums are removed. So ensure that you do a full revision. If you have less time, do the important and LDR questions, refer a revision video, refer important questions, but don't leave chapters. If you have left something in the earlier revision, you still have chance. Ensure that you do a complete revision. If not every question, important questions will also work. Reviewing revision videos and doing important areas also work, but leaving certain areas of the syllabus altogether is something that can cost you dearly. Secondly, when you are looking at these time frames, see, earlier you might have written section wise test or you might not have written test. Everything is accepted. However, now with 2.5 months remaining, you should at least give one, and if you're struggling in that, two full syllabus mocks. The ideal time to write a full syllabus mock will be after your second revision, where you are little more comfortable with the subject. Remember, you still have time to improvise. However, not writing a mock or writing it just before the exams in April will not give you enough time for course correction. So ensure that you don't have to run behind one particular mock on which is the best mock, which is the best replica. That does not matter. If you want, you pick up the latest institute paper and write the exam. That is fine, but you write it so that you know how to plan time, you know where you are missing, you know if you are writing a theory question, are you getting stuck, are you getting blanked out? You need to kind of course correct this, and writing a full portion mock is the best thing. Remember, while you're doing your coaching, even we kind of share, you would have section wise tests, but when you're writing a full paper, something which is very obvious after you're revising a particular chapter may not be as obvious after you revise the entire subject. Suddenly things which are very easy seem to be a lot more complex when it comes as a part of a larger paper. So ensure that you write at least one, and if possible, two full portion mocks. Okay, next, there is this constant fear among a lot of students, and a lot of this is legit, I would say, of new or different questions coming in the exam, and I can fully acknowledge that. Now the question arises, how do we prepare for new questions? Now everyone is running behind new questions. Remember, no matter how many new questions you do, these are not the same questions that are going to land up in the main exam. Two things. First of all, almost certainly majority of your paper is going to be a repetitive paper. It will be based on what you have done in your classes wherever you have done, because most of the professors would kind of circle back to the institute material, their RTPs, MTPs, main exams, and would do based on that only. So take my word for it, there will be a lot of questions that will be from your existing material only. Does that mean we should not consider the fact that a new question can come? You can consider it, but creating a panic, fear and anxiety out of it is not warranted. If you have done your core content properly, mark my words for it, the new questions will also be controlled. But if your core content is kind of lacking because you are panicked and worried about the new questions, you will not be able to solve the new questions for sure. You will not even be able to solve the questions that are already there. You pick up any paper that is there, most of the questions will be from the material which is there. There might be one or two questions which are new, definitely, but there is no way that you can search that question from whichever material and solve it. If your fundamentals are clear, your new questions will be managed. Having said that, majority of the questions is what you should be focusing on, which is based on the existing material. So tell yourself that I will focus on the material that I have, I'll focus on building my understanding, and I will trust my instincts and my understandings to help me navigate those new questions. And if it is difficult for me, it is difficult from everyone who's sitting around, and getting a fear, postponing my attempt, having panic attacks is not going to solve anything. Okay, so ensure that you kind of win over that fear over those new questions, because you will be able to solve it if you're able to have your fundamentals at the right place. Next, the biggest problem, if I would to say, for papers like FR is, you know everything, you just can't write it in those 3 hours, because we have been on the laptops, we have been now on the phones, now even we don't type, we are on voice, so we don't have that writing practice. And it is very important that you still have those 2.5 months where you kind of can well oil your hands. You can kind of get that practice where you can at least win over a few more marks. I myself, I'm telling you this out of hard experience, because I could not complete my own FR paper when I was writing. I left 20 plus marks of my FR paper. Again, that is something that I regret till date, and I don't want you to have it. Even after saying this, every exam after exam, you ask your seniors and everyone will tell you that you are unable to complete the paper. Now, if that is common knowledge, why are we not working for it right now? Write a few more mocks. If required, you realize that your paper is not getting over, use short forms. Figuring out how do you save those crucial 5 minutes which can magically, increase your probability of writing and completing that paper. Especially when you're looking at big questions like consolidation, business combination, how do we get the flow in place so that we complete our 100 marks? It's kind of heartbreaking to kind of not complete. See, if there are things that you don't know and you cannot complete, you are still okay. But if you know it and you cannot write, oh, that's really bad. So I want you to push a little to kind of work on your writing speed along with your concepts, and writing tests, practicing on pen and paper increases your speed, and you have enough time to do that right now. Okay, the next thing over here is, when we are preparing, we prepare it as if we are going to have 8 days, 10 days to revise. Remember, you're not going to have that. See, for a paper like FR, I would still say that because it is the first paper, you will have enough time to cover up majority of the stuff. But starting AFM, whether you go to audit, the massive DT, how are you going to cut this out into the last 1.5 days is extremely important, because no matter what you have done earlier, if you have not filtered down the questions, it can be a faculty filtered list or your own curated list along with the faculty's filtered list, but you have to filter down, narrow down what you want to do. Theoretically, you have this FOMO that you don't want to miss out anything, but you still have a limited amount of time. There is no way, even if a professor sits and tries to complete everything in 1.5 days. So when you're going into subsequent revisions, try to filter down, try to mark out those important questions, try to mark those adjustments with a highlighter, where you ensure that when you're revising on the last day, you're just looking at those adjustments and its impact and its solution, and you kind of optimize on the time. And the last, and I would say this is something which is the most difficult thing to work around, but if you can, well, you have won the battle halfway. It is self-doubt. Almost everyone who has made it till this point in the video, as well as this point in your preparation, is struggling in some or the other way. You are having this self-doubt that am I competent enough to clear these exams? What will happen if I don't clear? Remember, results are not in your control. The process is, the efforts are. So it is a professional exam. No matter how much time you give yourself, I'm telling you, there is going to be this uncertainty. You're not going to get 100 on 100. The top rankers go wrong, let's say 30-40% of the paper. So it is absolutely fine. You have a margin of error. Don't really push yourself so hard. Don't be too hard on yourself. Give it the best you have. And with that, I'm telling you, you have enough at your preparation, enough work that you have done, that you keep on going. Remember, the journey is not going to be very easy. It's not like 11th or 12th paper. However, you have come this far. If you have cleared intermediate, you should be able to clear final 3 as well. Okay, so I'll leave it at this. Study hard, keep your confidence high. God will bless you, but you have to do your bit. Okay, so wish you good luck. Write on your comments that you will clear and become a CA in your May 26. Okay, bye bye and take care.